Welcome to the Mike and Kate Schall Family Reunion video. We had a lot of fun in Valley City, North Dakota on July 28th and 29th of 2017. I hope you enjoy. Hey, who are you?
Ray Gartner.
And what's your connection to the Schalls?
My mother is Helen. My grandmother was Alice. And
when you think of me, Alice, what do you think of? What comes to mind?
I can remember my mother telling me anyway that when I was really young, Grandma Brick asked my mother if us kids had said anything about her big feet. And my mother told her what Ray said was that just wait till I get older and get big feet like Grandma so I can run away from Robert.
With his twin.
All right, so here we are at the Schall Family Reunion, and who are you?
I am Linda Gartner Pielaya.
And how are you connected to the Schalls?
Alice May is my grandma.
Okay, thank you. And what do you know, or what do you remember when you think of your Grandma May? Did you call her May? I don't even know.
I called her Grandma.
Grandma? I saw Alice and May in pictures.
She went by May.
Okay.
Everybody around Park Rapids knew her as May.
What do you remember about May Schall?
When she made breakfast for us after church, she said, well, I'm done, and she took her apron off and she set them down, and my dad says, but Grandma, you don't have any eggs. She said, yes, I do, and she took them off the top of the cook stove and she set them down, and they were all black. She liked pepper.
A hard pepper egg, thank you. All right, so tell me who you are. Who are you?
Well, I'm Larry Gartner.
And how are you connected to the Schall family?
My grandmother was Alice May Brick, and she was a Schall. I believe she was the oldest of not Clarence's, Leo's.
Yeah.
Leo would have been her brother.
Yeah.
And I never met my grandmother. She passed away before I was born. But mother, my mom, Helen Gartner, was Helen Brick. Alice was married to Grandpa Brick, Nick Brick. And my mom had a lot of kids.
How many?
Seven of us are still alive. Two of them are here at the reunion, Ray and Linda.
What do you remember about your mom? When you think of your mom, what comes to your mind?
My mother loved accordion, and she loved playing piano, and usually did most of that by ear, where she'd hear something and she'd have to go to the piano, sometimes with a spatula in her hand from making breakfast.
Hey, did you get any of her music abilities?
No, but I can tune in a radio. I can turn it on in the car, and I can tune it from side to side and front to back. And I really can do that, and I do love going to concerts.
That's good. So music is kind of your top thing that you remember.
Yeah, she always loved music, and her accordion, she could make the accordion sing all by itself.
Nice. Are those still around?
Her accordions, I think my sister Joanne has, because she plays the same similar music.
Good deal.
I don't know why Joanne's not here. Maybe she's working again.
You just threw your sister under the bus on the video.
No.
You want me to edit that?
Yeah, you can. No, Joanne actually is very musically inclined. She can play the guitar, the fiddle, the piano, the accordion, and all that. I wish she was here.
Thank you, Larry. You want to add any more?
Till the next time.
All right. Thank you very much.
See ya.
All right. Who are you?
I'm Jim Tweet.
And how are you connected to the Schalls?
My mother was Rose, which was Emma's only daughter.
What do you remember about Emma?
I remember staying at their place when I was very young. I would go out and stay for a couple weeks at a time sometimes. I remember looking out the upstairs window. I'd sleep way upstairs and watching the fireworks in Litchfield.
Nice.
Later on, I remember as a kid walking the tree claim out there with the .22 rifle and chasing rabbits around. We'd walk all the way up to the old Schall farm. Of course, we had to peek around the old house a little bit, walk all the way back, and snow this deep, which I couldn't do today.
All right, Dean, how are you connected to the, what's your name and how are you connected to the Schalls?
Dean Tweet, and I'm Emma Murphy's grandson.
Fond memories of Grandma Murphy was her great cooking. She taught me how to make caramel rolls when I was about 9 years old. Continue to make them today, and they are fantastic. One of the other memories is all the people who would stop by and visit. They always had a glass of lemonade or something and sitting on the back porch playing canasta. I haven't heard the word canasta in 40 years, but I remember them playing canasta all the time.
And you were telling me you went out there often, right? In the summer?
In the summers, it was kind of my job to go out there and paint the chicken coop and do odd jobs for Grandma and stuff. And then Aunt Frances Spear would come out, and she had a story for everything. And she was a great sketch artist. She did some of the neatest little sketches of different things. She was a lover of all children, neighbors, and friends, and anybody that stopped by. She always had a silver dollar or something to hand to them. And she had the giggle that you would remember. And now that I hear some of the laughs around this reunion this weekend, that is a Schall trait. It truly is.
Thank you. I'm going to talk to Jerry first. Jerry, who are you?
I'm Jerry Schall.
And how are you connected to the Schall family for this reunion today?
My dad was the son of Mike Schall.
Clarence.
There
Clarence,
it is.
my dad's name was.
Okay. What do you got for memories of your childhood? You got anything from the good old Litchfield
Well,
days out on the farm?
I remember when I was on the farm there, and Uncle Jim and them just came in from the field to have lunch. And I had they had me in little coveralls, and I went over there and overhauled the engine while they were in the house eating. And Uncle Jim came out and he couldn't get the tractor started. I took some spark plugs off, and it took him a while to get going.
That is a good one. All right, Doris, how are you connected to the Schall family today?
Well, I'm the daughter of Leo Schall, and Mike Schall is his dad, and Kate's his Mike Schall's wife. And anyway, my dad, when my grandma Kate would come to North Dakota, she would get off of the bus on 281 and 46, and my dad would go over and get her. Because that's the closest she could get to,
It's a long
to the
ways
farm
away.
on the bus. Yeah, so that's my story of Kate.
Joyce, how are you connected to the Schalls?
How are you connected to the Schalls? Your dad is Leo Schall.
Well, my dad was Leo Schall. My mother was Nellie Schall. And then I had a brother, Leo, and Esther, and Margaret.
And your favorite one of them was Doris.
Well, why not?
Doris was a ball baby.
Thank you, Joyce. Art, what's your connection to the Schall group?
Well, I'm married into the family. I'm an outsider, so
You're an outlaw.
I am Esther Schall's son-in-law. So I married her daughter, Mary, and you know, George and Esther were my mother and father-in-law, and I can't believe that I lucked out in getting into such a wonderful family. From the very start, I had been accepted into the family, and the first time that we sat down to play a board game, Nellie Schall, who is
My mom.
your mom, it was the, Leo Schall's wife, and she had sat down next to me, and she was elbowing me and saying, "Pass me some of those pennies." Well, we sat there passing information back and forth and winning the game. So she was really a character, but that's when I was really accepted into the family, you know, and
Thank you.
I enjoyed it immensely.
Who are you?
I'm Mary Nickerson, daughter of Esther. Grandmother is Nellie Schall.
Okay.
And I remember Nellie Schall out in the field with the tractor right alongside the guys. And really good at it. That's what I remember.
How would you describe her? Like, was she a ornery old lady? Was she a Would she dote on her grandkids, or what was she like?
Well, she was kind of crabby, but she was great at cards.
Okay. She played cards a lot.
Oh yeah, she broke her arm and she needed help cutting her meat. But when it was time to scoop up the pot on the table and I started
Could do
that
that.
arm worked. That arm worked. Loved her. She was great.
All right, so I'll start filming, and tell me who you are and your connection to the Schall family.
Richard Matt.
Yeah, Matt.
My connection to the Schall family is my mother, Esther, was Leo and Nellie's second daughter, and she had 9 of us kids. I remember when we lived in Alabama, my parents would pack up a station wagon with 11 people in it, 9 kids, 2 adults, and we drove cross country from Huntsville, Alabama to Litchfield, North Dakota, and if there were a Dairy Queen or a Tasty Freeze on the right-hand side of the road, Dad would stop. But if we went through a town and the Dairy Queen or Tasty Freeze was on the left-hand side of the road, we had to go to the next town. Of course, this was before the interstate highway system. But then getting to Litchfield, going in and seeing Grandpa Schall for the first time was always entertaining because he was sitting there saying hello to us, and he had a piece, there was dog poop right next to his chair. And we went, "Oh, Grandpa." And he'd go, "Oh, that dang dog again." And he just scooped it up, and it was rubber look-alike dog poop. And he said, "Richard, go in my bedroom and get this for me." And I went in there, and there were a pair of ladies' legs with fishnet stockings hanging out from under the bed like she crawled under there. And I kind of went out to my dad and said, "Dad, there's somebody in Grandpa's bedroom." And of course, he knew what was going on and said, "Is she still in there?" And he gets up and goes in the bedroom and closes the door. And then he comes back out and says, "She's gone now. Everything's okay. She's gone." But that was Grandpa Schall.
That's a good story.
That was when we visited them in North Dakota.
Pam, how about George and Esther? What can you throw in there on those two?
Some of my fondest memories are when we, shortly after we were married, they were living in Germany, and we had a 1-year-old, Alicia, and I was pregnant with Megan, and we decided to take a 5-week trip to Germany to visit his parents, and she, bless her heart, dragged me shopping every day. She wanted to share all of her secret places that she liked to go shopping, and so we got to do the Hummel factory, the Crystal factory, the Puma factory. So yeah, we had an awesome time with them.
Well, thank you. Diane, all right, tell me who you are. Who are you?
I am Diane Oatman.
How are you connected to this Schall group?
Nellie Schall and Leo Schall were my grandparents.
Okay, who was your mom?
Esther Matt.
All right, so do you have any memories, if you would, of like Grandpa and Grandma Schall, like going out to their farmhouse or anything? Or when you think of Grandpa Schall, what do you think of, or what comes to your mind right away?
He was a big jokester.
Jokester?
Yes.
What?
He had women's legs coming out of his bed, and he had this little donkey that you push down the donkey ears, and out of the butt, the tail would flip up. It was a cigarette. And he'd have this plastic poop that he'd put it on the floor, and then he would try to have us clean it up. And we wouldn't clean it up because it was too gross. And then he'd say, "Oh, I'll get that, I'll get that." And his cereal was popcorn with milk. I remember that.
Nice. How about Grandma Schall? What do you remember about her?
She made the best cinnamon rolls ever. And she'd make this big old honking plate. And us kids, there were 9 of us, would just polish them babies off and swoop.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Hey, Kathy. Tell me your name. Who are you?
I'm Kathy Sadek, and I'm Doris Oz's daughter.
Got it.
Doris was the Schall. Nellie and Leo were my grandparents. What I remember I don't remember Grandpa Leo so much, but what I do remember of him, he was at Mom's after Jeff was born, just a little infant, and he sat on the piano bench and held Jeff wrapped up in the blanket. I remember that, and he had the smile on from ear to ear.
So
I do remember that. And Grandma Nellie, what I remember about her is going to her house and getting to stay up late and watch WWE wrestling. She loved Dr. X, and she'd say he's going to get his mask torn off sometime, and she just loved that. And she just was a lady where she just did her thing, and she stood her ground, and she was, yeah, it was a lot of fun to go over there. And she took us around and picked hollyhocks, I think it was, and made little dolls, and we saw her on her farm, and that's what I remember them guys.
thank you. Hey, Mary, who are you?
I'm Mary. I'm Doris's daughter, Leo and Margaret's
You
daughter,
and Nellie.
Nellie. Leo,
What do you remember
I'm
about?
sorry.
What do you remember about Grandma Nellie?
I got to know her real well. I remember when she lived in Valley City with Joyce Bold on Thursday nights, so I got to visit her every Thursday night. And that was nice. Got to know a lot of stuff. And got to know Grandpa Leo a little bit when I was probably a teenager when he passed away. But I remember his oversized stuffed red chair and his curly hair.
Big red chair.
Yeah, I remember that big red chair. So.
Who are you?
I'm John Elmore.
How are you connected to this Schall group?
Well, I'm Mary Elmore's son, who's the daughter of Doris Ox.
All right, and she was a Schall. And what do you remember about your Grandma Doris? Or what comes to mind when you think about your grandma?
When I think about Grandma, I always think about the countless trips we took to the Medora musical
There you
every
go.
summer. And playing mini golf out on the old Medora landscape and watching the buffalo and the elk from the skyline there, and always looking forward to the charge of San Juan Hill from old Teddy Roosevelt. So Grandma
John.
Doris was there the whole time. So.
I'm Julie Oz, wife of Jeff Oz, and Jeff is Doris's son.
So what do you remember about my mother, your in-law, mother-in-law? What would you say when you think of Doris? What do you think
What
of?
I would say about Doris is her house is always the place where the family gathers. She will be always cooking, making big meals for the family. She has a very caring heart, is always making sure everybody else is taken care of before herself.
Thank you.
I'm your son, Gunnar David Oz.
Good Lord. And your grandma's Doris, you're my daughter. What do you remember about your Grandma Doris when you think of her? What comes to
Grandma
mind?
Doris is just, the lady's got a heart of gold. She's always thinking about others, and just her love for music really works within me and inspires me to go more into my music.
I understand that when one of the kids was born, don't remember which one it was, that he had to go out and feed the calves.
Oh.
And he tried and tried. The calf wouldn't drink the milk, so he poured it over the head and let it soak in.
I'm Kurt Schall.
And how are you connected to this group?
I'm the son of Leo Schall Jr.
Okay. Who are your grandparents?
Grandparents are Leo and Nellie Schall.
All right. Kurt, when you think of your grandma and grandpa, what's something that you, off the top of your head, what pops up?
Well, I remember Grandpa. We used to live on the edge of Litchfield, and he'd be out in the field, up and down the field with his little old tractor all day long. We'd go to school in the morning, and he was over here on the field, and we'd get home from school, and he was about over here in the field. Little tiny plow, he was out plowing.
Okay.
And he said the reason why his hair was all white was because of them seagulls. Turned his hair white. And we didn't know any better, so we believed him.
How about Nellie? What do you think? What do you remember about her?
Oh, I remember we were over there quite a bit because she would babysit us kids whenever Mom and Dad had to go somewhere or do something, and she disciplined us just like Mom and Dad did. Didn't get by with anything with her, but she was a good woman. She was stern but fun-loving lady too.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Stephen, tell me who you are and how are you connected to this group?
I am Stephen Schall. My grandfather was Leo Schall, I'm assuming that's Junior.
Yeah.
So that would be my connection through my grandpa.
When I ask you about like Leo Schall, what's the first thing that pops in your head, or what do you think of?
His goofy one-liners. He was always joking around. He was pretty funny, but also his military background was always cool to me when he told stories about. One of the favorite ones was he was at the site of one of the first nuclear bombs, and he dug in. He said like 7 miles out, and he said bomb went off, and he could see the bottom of the ditch with his eyes closed.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, when they were
He said a
testing.
guy even sat up and knocked his teeth out inside the bunker, so it was pretty neat.
Thank
Schall,
you.
Stephen's brother, Kurt Schall's son. Leo Schall was my grandfather, and Margaret Schall was my grandmother. Good memory about Grandpa and Grandma is playing whist with them at every chance we could. You know, they would play with my wife and I, or my kids and I. So.
Did you beat them, or did they beat you?
I think Grandpa Leo is pretty good, so whoever on Grandpa Leo's team usually won.
Cards, yeah. All right, I'm ready. Mike, who are you?
Well, I'm Mike Pashuk. This is my wife, Amy.
What's your connection to this Schall group?
We are Margaret, grandchild, Levon's kids.
Okay.
And we're from Rosewood, Minnesota.
So Margaret Schall Elm was your grandma.
Yep.
What comes to mind, or when you think of her, what do you think of?
We used to come up here every year, 2 weeks out of the year with Grandma. We'd spend a lot of time up at the farm helping out. And then we'd come into town and spend time with you and the family up here every summer, around 4th of July.
Playing baseball.
Pioneer Park. Having a good time, enjoying the weather. That's what I remember.
Thank you.
Yep.
Amy, what do you remember?
Well, Margaret had a deep love for music, and I remember her playing the violin and just even talking about music and sending us pictures of her in different groups.
Where the field was and stuff like that, and go down where the playground was, just get whipped off. The spinning thing.
Oh, merry-go-round kind of thing? Or?
Yeah.
So you remember the park? Playing
there? Whatever it was.
Yeah.
There's the park. Goal play. That's what I remember.
All right. Okay.
You ready?
Tell me who you are.
I'm Chris Kemmer. I am the grandson of Rosella Schall and John Kemmer. My dad was Lawrence Kemmer and Opal. They lived in Emmitsburg, Iowa, and I currently live in Spencer.
When you think of your grandma, what's some of the first thing that come to mind?
Well, I remember the old loom they had in their dining room, I would call it, and we used to rip up old pieces of shirt or rags and stuff them into a tube, and Grandpa and Grandma would make rug rags out of them and sell them at the flea markets.
Nice.
I remember going out to their farm several times. Kids would play, and the neighbors would come down with their old Shetland pony and try to give us rides and stuff like that. We had to be careful outside because there were rattlesnakes. Couldn't play in the yard during the summer.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. Look at that. Said, look at that. Who did that? Now let's go. He said, pick that up. Just clean that up right now. And then he'd scoop it up and put it in his pocket. And we laughed.
Well, I wanted to tell you guys a little story about Butch, Burnell, Bernie, whatever you want to call him. When we were younger, I was probably under 10 years old, and he was probably a teenager. We were over at Grandma Nellie's, and we were going to have a birthday party for Aunt Emma. So Margaret had baked this really nice cake, and she had Butch and I bring it out to Aunt Emma's. Butch had this old 50-something car, so I got to sit on the passenger side and hold the cake, and Butch got to drive.
and we were heading out to Aunt Emma's, and we were heading just about up to her place, and I felt the car start accelerating and going faster and faster, and I peeked up over the dash and I saw the big hump in the road coming where the railroad tracks were, and we were going faster and faster, and we hit the railroad tracks, and we jumped up in the air, slammed down onto the road on the other side, and he said, "Hang on to that cake." And I hung on to the cake, and we bounced down the road, and he lost the hubcap off the car, and he slammed on the brakes and slid to a stop and ran out in the ditch and got the hubcap and come running back and stuck it on the car and jumped in the car, and we drove up to Aunt Emma's place and brought the cake in the house and set it on the table, and was nothing wrong with it that I could see. So Aunt Margaret took a look at it and said, "It's covered in dirt. There's dirt all over the cake." So I was kind of sneaking out the back door, and I heard Butch say, "Ah, hell, she can't see it anyway. She's blind." End of story.
I don't know if you have you're too far away.
No, I measured this out.
Did you? 25 feet?
Yeah, like 25, 27. We could move it a little closer, I guess, but wow. I gotta get my cane out. Alex is just bowling. Right.
Is it working?
Jump on there.
Can I get in?
Bro, take Uncle Jeff for a ride. Take Uncle Jeff for a ride.
Well, they'd always want to wreck a train on the track something up there.
Yeah, that is the High Line Bridge right in the park of Valley City.
Yeah, I lost count on the other train at about 60 cars. And it was a lot longer than that.
I popped the clutch.
You can't be in here until the owner's back. No, yeah,
She's okay. You can talk dumb if you want.
We can talk dumb. We know how to talk dumb.
Hello. Hey, welcome to Schall Family Reunion.
I just got done picking my nose.
Looking back at you. Oh, look how smart you guys think you are.
There he is again.
Here he comes.
And you didn't get out of it.
Anyway, we're Margaret's sister Esther's children. I was, son, Mary was number 4. sisters have both passed away. They each had children, grandchildren, our oldest brother Mike still lives in Colorado Springs. He and I still have together. He's still married with children and grandchildren. And Greg has passed away. He was next after Mary. He has children living where we live in Colorado. And their kids and grandkids now. And then Diane was in Boise. She was next. Her husband passed away. What? Oh, I thought you were going to say 13 years ago. But anyway, she has children and grandchildren. Pam and I, she lives in Boise. Pam and I live in Greeley, and we have children and grandchildren. And our younger sister, Katie, lives in Pueblo. She has children and grandchildren. Lives in New Jersey, has children and grandchildren. That's it.
We're gonna start. We're gonna start at the young and go up since we got backup help here. He didn't really want to talk, but we'll get him to the mic. My name is Corey Schall. That's my brother Steven Schall. We're from Kurt Schall. Okay, and then Kurt went to Leo Jr. and then Leo Senior. But we have Rachel and Sawyer and Leanne and my wife Carrie. And the kids are on top of the playground equipment outside. We can talk about our
Well, I guess had two sisters, two brothers. My two brothers died. One in a car accident, one from cancer. My sister Linda is in Oklahoma, and my sister Deb is in Phoenix. And they couldn't make it. Sister Linda will be here in September sometime. And other than that, I brought the bathtub.
Now you have to get in it.
Like your dad did.
Just like your dad.
Kids will run driving now. But Dad always had fun with that old bathtub. That was his pride and joy. So now the kids get to play with it. So. Back to you.
interesting fact of this side of the Schall family is Sawyer is the first granddaughter. Otherwise, it's all grands.
Happy birthday, dear Doris. Happy birthday to you.
Everyone represented from the original Mike Schall family. And Chris is the sole rep for the Kemmers, and I had peer pressure. Here's what I did. A complete stranger. I never met, many of you have never met before, only knew you on the paper. Complete stranger, communicating back and forth. And he goes, I got a bunch of pictures. And he had a VHS tape. And I go, send it to me. I can convert that VHS to a digital file. So he gave me a very precious VHS tape with a bunch of family history from probably the 40s and 50s, and cool stuff. And he sent me all these pictures on a jump drive, just a ton of family history in there. So I told him, I'm not giving you this back until you come to the reunion. So I go, there's no pressure, but here he is. So thank you for coming up and representing him.
Thank you.
My name is Chris Kemmer. My grandpa and grandma were John and Rose. Rose was Schall. And my dad was Lawrence Kemmer. And my mother was Old in Spencer, Iowa, northwest Iowa. I worked for a company called Eaton Corporation for 38 years. I'm kind of semi-retired. But, I just decided the other night to take off and come up here and see everybody. I've never met any of you. Just got a hold of Jeff last fall and decided, you know, I like doing this kind of stuff too, so it worked out really good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
All right. I'm the youngest. Alan's friend, Jordan.
This is my husband, Dean. His mom was Rose Murphy, and her mother was Emma Schall. This is our daughter, Heather, our grandson, Gunnar, and this is Jim Tweed. Do you want to say anything? Oh, this is pretty emotional for them. And Heather's daughter, Sophie, is here, and her son, Grayson. But Rose had two daughters, Jane and Joan. Joan passed away. And Jerry, the oldest son, is no longer here. He passed away. So now it's Dean and Jim and Jane. And Jim has two sons and 3 grandchildren. And this is just a thrill for all of us to meet you guys and be here. Do you want to say anything about what you remember as a kid? Maybe later.
Months now, so I'm glad you made it too.
Well, I'm Jerry Schall. No. I got 3 boys and a daughter. And my brother has 3 boys and a daughter. And his oldest son passed away several years ago. I live in Pocatello, Idaho, and I've been a truck driver all my life. And so I have a lot of friends around the country, you know. And anyway, I'm glad I got the chance to get here and see new people that I've never met, you know. Anyway, I've been Joyce, her and I would be on the internet for off and on. It was, I guess she's got a picture of me up there.
Yes, she does.
Wall there. So, but anyway, I enjoyed meeting everybody.